Morning. It's May the 1st. It's +7. It's a beautiful day. Supposed to go to 26 this week on Wednesday. That'll be shorts weather. Well, even Tuesday. Tomorrow's supposed to be 21, I think. Heading up along the creek. Take a slightly different path today just to vary it. My knee doesn't bother me. It still does, but usually if I flex it a few times, whatever it is goes away. So it's odd. I still haven't talked to a doctor, but I do have sometime soon. I'll have my annual physical. It's still bothering me. He'll probably send me for an MRI or something. Just a lovely morning. Bit of an odd week for me because Wednesday I go up to Saskatoon and I'll be up there for 4 days. I'm going up Wednesday so I can set up for Thursday's Saskatchewan Libraries Association annual meeting where I'll have a book table for Shadowpaw Press. And Thursday night is the Saskatchewan Book Awards. And I have my young adult science fiction novel Star Song is shortlisted for Best Young Adult Literature. And a book I published, Thickwood by Gail M. Smith, is shortlisted for Best First Book. So, yeah, that'll be cool. Don't have any great expectation of winning. I've been nominated 13 times for 11 books for Saskatchewan Book Awards. Been shortlisted 13 times for 11 different books, and I've only won once. Oh, good morning, all of a sudden. Annis? Yes, new month. Good morning, Kirk in Vancouver. It's perfectly sunny. I don't see a cloud in the sky. It was like this yesterday, too. Yesterday, I had a concert, which is on YouTube if you want to watch it, with Wascana Voices. And let's wait till this truck goes by. Big noisy thing. Some sort of saw blade on the back. It must be an excavation device of some sort. Anyway, yes, yesterday I sang in the Wascana Voices concert. That's the self-directed choir that I sing with. And you can watch that on YouTube. It wouldn't let me save it to a playlist, but I did post it. And you can find it if you're looking for Wascana Voices. This is Henderson Terrace, it's called, built in 1913, heritage property, row houses, 8 units, I guess. Never been in there. I've always wanted to see what one of those looks like. Comes the school bus. We're going to go straight up here onto the dike today to start the walk. Well, I've already started the walk, but you know what I mean. And then the rest of my day, I have to take some lawn furniture back to someone that we borrowed it from for a while. And then I'm going to be doing inventory of my books in preparation for Saskatoon, not just the Shadowpaw Press table at the Saskatchewan Libraries Association. But then for the next 3 days after that, it's Sask Expo, which is our local Comic Con style convention, and one of ours. There's one in Regina in the fall. And I usually sell quite a few books there, so. And I still have some free hotel rooms from back when I was writer in residence in Saskatoon and was piling up the points, going up for 2 nights a week. So the hotels aren't going to cost me anything, which means I can actually potentially make a little money. Although I also like to eat in good restaurants, which does cut into the profit. And there's the cost of the table. So do I actually, at the very least, I should break even. That's maybe the best I can hope for. Oh, I could economize, but I do like to eat well. Not just fast food or a Subway sandwich. For the evening, especially after you've been on your feet all day, it's nice to sit down and have a proper meal. I hope my knee doesn't bother me too much there, because I will be standing. I tend to stand the entire time, because if you sit down behind your table, you disappear. Trying to catch people's eyes and not scare them off. That's the dike up here. The creek on the other side of it. So I'll both be doing inventory and rationalizing the packing of my books. I tend to take too many, but you don't want to run out, right? So it's a difficult balance. And sometimes they're already in boxes and I don't want to repack them. So, but I only have so much space, and with taking both my own books, because at Sask Expo I'll be selling my books as well as the ones I published. It fills up the old SUV, that's for sure, with books. And it's a big job unpacking them and setting up and taking down again at the end. I do have some help in Saskatoon for Sask Expo, but not for the Saskatchewan Libraries Association. I'll have to manage that myself. But that's fewer books, because it's only the Shadowpaw Press titles. There's the creek. I hear a duck. Somewhere in the reeds. Quacking up a storm. You quack me up. There's parkland over there. Oh, somebody in the playground. Looks like a duck on the path. Usually you only see geese. Ducks down there too. Look at the Elphinstone Street Bridge. There go the ducks. They didn't like me. I didn't threaten them, but they didn't like me. See how high the creek is? It's pretty high. Probably down from last week. We'll find out when we get to the other side. Once I'm walking along it. There's a bit of a weir down here that you can't see right now, so that's a sign that the creek is pretty high. That's a bird song. See a little water lurking here and there. Don't know if we'll see any hanging on to the bitter end snowdrifts. Somewhere where it's been piled, we might, and it's in the shade. There was still a fair amount of ice on the lake when I walked around this Friday, but I hope there's a red-winged blackbird down there, the common species we see around here. They like to hang out in the reeds and other plants close to the creek. Just have to safely cross the road. Why did the live streamer cross the road to get to the other side? I'm just ignoring the pain in my knee, which there's a fair amount, off and on. We'll go here by the Neo-Balkwell Civic Art Center. The Art Gallery of Regina is, among other things. Has a lot of studios, and you can take art classes here. I'm always surprised I haven't done that more, because I was an art minor in university. I always loved it, but I haven't done it as an adult since I quit doing editorial cartoons for the Weyburn Review 30 some years ago. And a little public art out here, sculpture over there. And this is the art center itself. I've also performed here years and years ago. We rented space here for our annual meetings with Regina Lyric Light Opera, now Regina Lyric Musical Theatre. We did a mini production of Trial by Jury here one year, the Gilbert and Sullivan mini operetta. And my a cappella group, Midnight Sun, performed here at another annual general meeting. And then it was all about pizza. Anyway, that's the Balkwell Civic Arts Center. I've seen several dogs already. My shoelace is coming untied. I hate that. It means I'm going to have to put this down. All right, I will do that up here. So hang on to your hats for a minute. Turned off the gimbal. And we'll put it down like that so you can look up at the tree in the sky while I tie my shoelace. Okay, hello. All right. Now we'll turn it back on. We'll go sideways for a moment. And there we go. Hopefully it stays tied the rest of the way. Hi, James. So nice to have most of the water dried up. Able to walk in just my runners, not in my boots. I could cut across the grass, but I don't really know how dry it is, so I won't do that. It could be wetter than it looks in spots. I didn't point out the giant beaver over there, but oh well. I've pointed it out before. Soccer field there. Remember Alice not playing soccer there when she was little. She and her friend were more interested in looking at things in the grass and paying attention to the other little kids trying to kick the ball around. Soccer did not take with her. Dance turned out to be her main thing, although she probably would have really enjoyed figure skating had we gone that route. But this stop sign gets run a lot. You just saw that guy roll through it, barely slowing down. Robin. He actually stopped. Maybe he saw the camera. I don't know. Okay. Straight down here to Pasco Street, then we'll make the turn and start heading back. Tinges of green in the grass now. It's starting to green up. Trees have a ways to go, but they'll be budding out within the next few weeks. A couple of weeks, I would think. A little bit of swelling going on in the buds, it looks like. Oof, oof. Other side of that fence, he has objections to my walking by, or at least interest in it. Yeah, quite a bit of green actually starting to show up in the grass. Well, it certainly has had moisture, so should be off to a good start this spring. It could be dry as a bone the rest of the summer. We don't know yet. The older houses over here. Kind of a mixture of older houses and new, but that's definitely one of the older ones, and those are newer ones. A lot of the old ones are slowly being torn down, replaced. In fact, I think it's the next corner where they've just torn one down. Or was that further back? Must be up here, because I don't think I've passed it yet, and I just noticed it yesterday. No? That's odd. Did I imagine that? No. Maybe? Oh, maybe I did. Huh. No, I drove by here and thought, oh look, they've torn down that. Oh, it's the next corner past this one. Okay. I see the construction fence from here. It's two little dogs, one after the other. They took a angled path because I was right on top of him at the bridge back there. And here we meet again, except we won't meet because I'll just go on by. Morning. Yeah, up here where the John Deere is, they've torn down a house. Now, as is usually the way of these things, as soon as it's gone, you don't have a clue what it looked like. I have no idea what that house was like, but it's gone. And presumably a new one coming in. This house has solar panels on it, which is interesting. This time of year, they'll start generating quite a bit. I imagine in the winter, it's a fairly minor contribution to the power needs. Yeah, so that's all gone, and now it's staked out for building something new. Oh, that's something we'll be watching over the summer as we walk by. Old house next to it. Older, anyway. Dead ahead of us is Saskatchewan Express, which isn't an old school, but it's a performing arts organization. They have a touring company that tours in the summertime to fairs and stuff. I mean, there wasn't a lot of that the last few years, but it should be back in full swing. And also a performing arts school, and the old gym is a little theater that I've never performed in it, but I've seen a show there. 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee that Lyric put on a few years ago. They used that, and it was the perfect location because, of course, that's set in a school. I have been in that building a few times and rehearsed and sung in there. Rehearsed specifically. A long time ago, before it was Saskatchewan Express's space, when it was just an abandoned school. Empty school. Company I was rehearsing with, rehearsed in there. The Fantastics, I think that was. First time I did it. So I've done it twice, playing El Gallo. So one of my favorite roles. I'd do that again in a minute if somebody asked me. There's the entrance. Express. And the park continues over there. I haven't tried going that way because last couple of times it's been flooded under the bridge and might still be. We'll see when we get down here in a minute. Some canoes over there that the Z program. I think it's public schools. Pasco Street Bridge coming up. Oh, the traffic over there is on the Louvain, which is the higher speed north-south route along the side of the city. Okay, we will go down to the path. It's definitely a little lower than the last time I came by, so I wonder what it looks like under the bridge. Oh, nope. Still no going that way. From here now, it doesn't actually look any lower. Looks about the same as last week. Yeah, it is very, very close to the banks here. Right here is the very, very lowest place where it comes over the bank. But it hasn't quite come over the road, although I'm sure it was at some point. And that's where I walked out under the frozen creek only a few weeks ago. Probably 6 weeks ago, at most. Now we've turned the corner, I'm headed home. So about the halfway point. This path winds a bit, so it's longer than the other route, which is straight. But still, turning around back there at the bridge was probably about the halfway point. Taking this route. To go that way, I think, comfortably. There's a path right down by the creek, but it looks like there's still probably mud there. So we will stick to the pavement. The scenic route, since it curves. Another robin, probably the same one, I don't know. Reflection tape there, I guess, for people on bikes. If the, I don't know, so you don't miss the corner, or is it something else? No, I don't know what that is. So I don't know how much walking I'll get done in Saskatoon. I don't think there'll be anything Wednesday or Thursday. Maybe Friday. I might. At the very least, I'll take a turn through the Sask Expo exhibits. I do have somebody who will help me at the table a bit and free me up a chance to do that. Although I don't like leaving my table very long because I'm the one who knows everything. Although if I make a proper sell sheet with prices on it, that will help my helper instead of having it all in my head. Yes, that's true. There's no leaves getting in the way of seeing the bones of the trees. And every tree was planted. There were no trees here naturally when Regina began. Possibly a few willows along the creek here and there. As you can see by the even spacing of the trees, those did not grow there by accident. Or the straight rows of the bushes. They're fairly artfully placed in spots, but you can still tell that they were planted. Like looking that way, which has turned into a bit of a shortcut at times. Arboreal anatomy. My daughter took an anatomy class, but it wasn't arboreal. It was one with actual cadavers, which is interesting. She's just about to graduate with her degree in kinesiology from the University of Toronto, and first year kinesiology students. So all these 18-year-old kids arrive, and they have first year anatomy, and U of T is one of the few places that uses cadavers even for first year kinesiology students. Now, they don't do what medical students do, which is basically, as I understand it, adopt a cadaver which they then dissect over the course of their class. They were only interested in joints, and so it was legs and things they were looking at primarily. But still, Alice did fine. My doctor, who's just retired, Dr. McMillan, been my doctor for 40 years, said he was known in medical school for fainting every time. Morning. Which I thought was funny. He did become a GP, not a surgeon. Maybe that's why. I don't think I'd faint. That sort of thing doesn't really bother me. Well, that's why she went there. It had the best program of that kind in Canada. One of the best in the world, probably. And there is a kinesiology program here at the University of Regina, but she didn't really want to stay at home, and though it would have been financially cheaper, quality-wise, although I'm sure it's a fine school here, I don't think it compares to the people that she's learned from at the U of T. In fact, I don't remember which class it was. One of her electives, environmental science, I think they had James Lovelock came in, who is still alive at 100 and something. The guy who came up with the Gaia hypothesis. And he was amazed, and I was impressed. They brought him in to speak. I think he only died in the last year or so. So when she saw him, he was about 104, I think. And still needed a little help on the steps, I think she said, but was able to deliver a fine speech. Hope I'm doing as well in another 40 years, which is how long that will be for me. I like really old people. It gives you, maybe I'm not as old as I feel some days. I mean, when he was my age, I had barely started working at the Weyburn Review. Just a pup. Barely out of college. Although I graduated from university, I was only 20 for various reasons. Still 6 months from turning 21, and I was done and working at the Weyburn Review as a reporter photographer, and then editorial cartoonist and columnist, and then editor. I was the editor at the age of 24, who's editing one of the biggest newspapers in Saskatchewan, which admittedly is still a small newspaper, but got a circulation of 6,000, I think, or something like that, which made us third or fourth largest. I mean, there was of the weeklies, we were probably the third largest. I think Yorkton this week and North Battleford. I think the Swift Current had a daily paper at the time. I don't know if it still does. Long time now. I could be making all that up, but you wouldn't know, would you? I'm not making up the part about being editor at the age of 24, though. In fact, I think I'd barely turned 24. And then I was news editor for 4 years, I guess, 5 years, something like that. Yeah, I think 4 years as a reporter photographer to 84, just the year I turned 25. And then editor for 4 years till 88, which is when I came to Regina as communications officer for the Saskatchewan Science Centre. Did that for 5 years. And in 1993, so this year will be my 30th anniversary of becoming a full-time freelancer. And mostly, I wish I'd been an engineer. I mean, an engineer who wrote on the side instead of trying to make writing my main stream of income, because it hasn't been much of a stream of income. And publishing is a great way to lose money, I've discovered. Everything costs, but you don't make that much unless your book really takes off, and that's hard to make happen, especially with the enormous glut of books in the marketplace right now. Bit of water still there. Here comes another dog and owner. And I would have made a great engineer. I think. Maybe not. Who knows? I didn't do it, so there's no way to know. But I loved math and science. Got high marks in it. However, I pretty much killed that possibility in high school, and I decided not to take grade 12 physics because I'd already decided I wasn't going that route. I would have had to pick that up. Although, again, I was young, 16 when I graduated from high school, so I could easily have, if I'd made the decision at that point, picked up the necessary additional high school classes, then got on to university and wouldn't even have been an older student. Anyway, I didn't. And I'm happy to be a writer. I'm happy to have written. I'm happy to have books published. I'm feeling I'm not writing enough right now because the publishing is taking so much time, and that's really beginning to wear at me. I was looking through my ideas file. I have sketches, multiple page synopses in some cases, for probably 10 books, many of which were intended to start a series. And they're just sitting there, and I don't know if I'll ever manage to write them. So I have got to keep thinking about that. I could, of course, stop publishing. Shadowpaw Press could just go on hiatus at any time. I'm the only person involved. Keep the books I published out there, keep collecting royalties and promoting them, but not publishing anything new. And as it is, I'm pretty much booked solid now well into 2024. 3 new titles coming out this fall on the premiere side. 2 more after that, both by Dave Duncan, who's someone I knew very well and a very well-known fantasy writer who died not that long ago. Good morning from Athens, in Athens, I mean. Costas, good morning. I'm just blabbering on about my publishing. Thinking out loud, really. So I got those Dave Duncan books. I have some more reprints coming out. So I might, maybe in 2024, I take a break. Don't take on anything new at Chautauqua Press and concentrate on my own writing for a year and see how that feels. I don't think it would affect income. I think it might improve income because I wouldn't have the expenses of cover art and things like that. Oh, I also did taxes over the weekend, so that's another reason I'm going on about this. On the plus side, I don't owe any money. On the downside, that's because I don't really make any significant. I mean, I do, but it all gets plowed back into writing and publishing. So if I weren't married to an engineer, my living circumstances would be different. I would have to be finding some sort of regular work, which isn't easy when you're my age. Nobody wants to hire a 63-year-old for anything, except Walmart greeter, and that's really not my style. But I did marry an engineer, so financially we're doing just fine as a whole. Okay, coming up to the footbridge up here very soon. Another dog. I like a plague. Dogs everywhere. Dogs. I like dogs. Don't get me wrong. I get tired of seeing them on my walks, though. Don't know why. Not doing me any harm. Morning. We'll go over the bridge, get our usual look along the creek in both directions, and I guess I'll walk down the dike on that side since I haven't done that this morning. Be home in 10 minutes. I haven't eaten anything. I should eat something. Great way to remember you haven't eaten anything is to go for a long brisk walk. And your body starts going, wait a minute, there's nothing in here. I need more fuel. Of course, from a losing weight perspective, I should just not eat anything. Go hungry. And I've lost, since the beginning of the pandemic, I'm down about 25 pounds from the start of the pandemic. However, I was down 10 pounds more, and that seems to be trying to creep back. So not only am I going to Saskatoon and eating out, later in the month, I'll be in Halifax and eating out, and Toronto and eating out. So it's very hard to be good with your calorie intake when you're eating out. There we are looking east along Wascana Creek. Looking west, you can see, there's my shadow, hello. You can see from the stuff going down the creek that it's still moving at a pretty good clip. I'll go down the dike on this side now. It's dry. It's actually better now than when I started. It does that. These bushes are slowly growing up. They were very tall so that you couldn't see to the other side of them, and then they trimmed them right down I think for security reasons, so that the path was not so locked out of sight behind walls of green. Could be seen from the houses over there. But they are growing again. I don't know how long they'll let them grow before they trim them again. Once they leaf out, oh, they're actually starting. I think that one has a little bit of green leaves on it. So there you go. We're starting to see the budding. Oh yeah, for sure. Leaves. You must have taken a leaf off your census. That's a very old joke. Leif Erikson, soft likening, comes back, discovers that they've taken away his property, and he isn't in any of the official roles. He goes to demand an explanation, and the official says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I must have taken leaf off my census." Ba-dum-bum. See lots of white foam and water up there from the water coming under the bridge. Enthusiastically from the lake on the other side. I choose to believe. I want to believe. As Mulder would put it. All right, here's my street. Retallick. I don't know who Retallick was. All these streets are named after somebody, but that's an interesting name, Retallick. He's probably a city councilor or something. Carefully down the steps since I can't use the handrail. And my knee is still not 100%. Even though it felt fine on the walk, going down the stairs, I noticed it again. Older house, newer house. Or maybe that's just a renovated older house, that one. Yeah, I think it is. Just restuck with, oh, my knee really didn't like going down the stairs. Hold on a second. If I flex it a bit, that always helps. My best explanation is that a bit of cartilage potentially broke loose and is floating around and occasionally stabbing me in various locations, because the pain can be anywhere in my knee. But I haven't actually asked a doctor about that. I probably should. And since it's been going on for weeks now, even though I'm able to walk on it full tilt as I just was, then it'll hurt suddenly. Another older one that's been nicely redone. I used to know the people that lived in this next house, but they're not there anymore. And then the next house I always comment on because it's got this turret on it. I never look at it from this direction. I won't walk up to it. It has this nice Bavarian feel, especially with the pine trees in front of it and then the turret. I could imagine it's in the Black Forest somewhere. Never been in it. Another house I'd like to be in, at least in the turret. Also has cool shingles, which I presume are original. Ours has stucco. Sometimes wish it had shingles. The stucco cracks and needs to be worked on, but it's a little bit down the list of things that we're getting worked on. Old houses are the gift. They keep on giving, or taking, rather. Big backyard here with a fence you can actually see through. Presumably they want to show off their garden. One more block after this corner. I like brick houses. And then this one over here is famous slightly for having been the location for a TV movie starring Linda Carter back in the early 90s called Family Business, I think it was called. So for a while, our neighborhood here was dressed up as an American neighborhood with U.S. post office boxes and American police cars and that sort of thing. Never saw Linda Carter, even though I lived in the neighborhood, and she was presumably in this house. And we will stop at this stop sign dead ahead, which is my traditional stopping point for walks along the creek, if I come from this direction. Angus Crescent up here is my crescent, not my personal crescent, but the one we live on. Other people get to use it too. I'm generous that way. Alrighty. Here we go. Thank you for walking with me. Probably back tomorrow, although it might just be a short walk downtown or something. Okay, bye for now. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Goodbye.